Farmers, hello! We are all eagerly anticipating the new installment of Farming Simulator 25. Each of us hopes to see exactly what is missing for them in the new part. Many players' desires coincide, and based on this, the most popular requests for the new game are formed. Today, I will tell you about the top 7 player requests for Farming Simulator 25. New types of work. Not long ago, we saw the Emergency Pack update, which added, without exaggeration, an entirely new direction to the game, where you could take on the role of a rescuer and perform emergency tasks. Something similar would be nice to see in the new part of the game. However, in my opinion, it is necessary to add new directions that could be related to something closer to the farm, such as working in a quarry, or alternatively, working as a crane operator. All of this could complement the existing directions. Let's go in order. We saw the quarry in the Platinum Expansion add-on, and I won't hide my disappointment with this addition. They certainly added a lot of interesting machinery and mechanics that simplify gameplay. But it could have been much more interesting. For example, independent extraction of valuable minerals, where you could dig and extract valuable resources for production yourself. Moving on, from the same update, we saw containers. So why not add container handling work, where our task would be simply to load or transport them? In my opinion, that would be great. I hope all of this will appear in the new game, because we have plenty of different jobs that are much closer to the farm than rescue themes. Let's go further. Expanded animal world. Of course, when we talk about the new part of the game, we cannot ignore our animals. In my opinion, the animal mechanics are currently quite simple. Right now, we need to meet their needs, and in return, we easily get their products. With such straightforward mechanics, I wonder, why not expand the types of animals? How about goats, which could also easily provide milk? Or, for example, ducks. Why not get eggs from them? It's definitely cool when creating your own farm to be able to choose the animals you want to deal with. But that's not all. I think we can go even further and create entirely new directions. For example, rabbits that we can raise on our farm and in the future get meat from them, or simply fur. This could launch entirely new production chains, and it would be incredibly interesting. New crops. Now I can easily say that the developers are undoubtedly moving in this direction, but all the mechanics remain the same. When I talk about crops, I want to see something radically new. For example, pumpkins. Yes, why not? Such a crop could greatly diversify the familiar process of harvesting. Why not gather all the pumpkins in the field by hand? In my opinion, that would be quite fun. Although, why do we need a field? All of this could be done in garden beds, where we could also add fruits. For example, apples that we could collect in crates and then take them for sale. We all understand that in garden beds, you can grow whatever you like. In general, there is room for progress in this direction, and new crops would be like a breath of fresh air for our game. Small-scale machinery. What would truly be a cool innovation in the game is new machinery. Every time we see something new, and it undoubtedly pleases us, for example, grape harvesters have become favorites in this part of the game. But you know what would be great to see in the new part? It's small-scale machinery that we could use specifically for working in garden beds. Why not add more handheld tools to the game? Or even make carts that we could use to start developing our small farm. It's worth mentioning such types of machinery as walk-behind tractors, with which we could work in garden beds, fields, transport any produce, basically do anything with their help. In my opinion, small-scale farming is no less valuable than industrial farming. I think players of the new part of the game would really enjoy all of this. Pests. What players were definitely expecting from Farming Simulator 22 is pests. We all remember how in the trailer for Farming Simulator 22, they hinted at pests, and at that moment, my heart started beating faster because I expected to see a very interesting mechanic. As we later found out, nothing like that was added, and it's a shame. Currently, the game is too straightforward. Such a complex and hardcore mechanic could have been implemented at the challenging level of the game. Just imagine, after sowing a crop a few months later, you notice poor crop growth. The first thing you do is start the process of dealing with pests, and as a result, the quantity of the harvest you will gather would be calculated entirely randomly. This mechanic would add a touch of randomness to our game, and the thought that after harvesting the field, we might even end up in the negative excites me. Such systems are definitely lacking at the challenging level of the game at the moment, as the success of your farm would not solely depend on your actions. How realistic that would be. Expanded functionality with machinery. I've noticed that players want more realism in the game, and when we talk about realism, we cannot ignore the functionality of the machinery in the game. Honestly, it's quite terrible right now. What do we have? Four-wheeled vehicles with the ability to attach implements. We don't have the ability to interact with the machinery in any meaningful way, although with mods, this can be easily addressed. That's why not add more advanced functionality to the game. In Farming Simulator 22, they added a gearbox. For those who don't like it, there's an option to keep everything as it was in the previous game. Why not do the same with a attaching implements. All actions with attaching to the tractor would need to be done from the outside. Also, don't forget about hoses and electronics. If these are not connected in the trailer, turn signals or brakes simply won't work. That would be just great. Additionally, little attention has been given to the first-person view. Currently, the tractor from the inside is entirely non-functional. It would be much more interesting to play from the first person when you can open windows, steer, and operate from inside the cabin. If I were the developers, I would also add functional buttons that would lower the attached equipment. The game would become much more interesting. In addition to internal changes, one should not forget about the external aspects. For example, you could remove protective shields from wheels or fold the mirrors. Even the most basic action, like opening the door from the outside, could add those small details that could completely change the game. Life in the game. Stop. Understand me correctly. I'm not planning to live in the game. What I meant is, have you noticed how empty all the maps from the developers are? Playing on these maps, I have a clear feeling that I'm alone here. The new part of the game should completely overturn the stale stereotype. Playing the new part of the game, we want to see not just lifeless pedestrians, but more realistic bots with whom we could interact. I'm tired of selling crops to nobody in particular. Why not simply add bots responsible for this? Their task would be extremely simple. Accept the goods and discuss prices for specific products in this production with the player, or discuss the process of launching production based on the products they have at their factory. It would also be nice to see new lively farms on the map, in addition to ours. It would be great at the beginning of the game when you don't have your own farm to join an existing one and perform work on that farm for money. You could say, similar to contracts, but 100 times more interesting. While you work on that farm, you can use the basic equipment of that farm, and they could all belong to artificial intelligence, AI. This would help start developing your own farm from absolute scratch. Another equally important mechanic that all players are waiting for is AI on the fields. It's incredibly boring to see fields change their soil stages automatically at night. Why not add workers who would do this job? Even if they don't move super realistically to avoid overloading our gaming systems, it would still be better than just automatic texture changes on other people's fields. I think such changes would bring a small touch of life to our game and perhaps even introduce competition, because besides us, there would be other farms that would lower the price of crops, making us think about what to plant and what your competitor will be sowing. And in keeping with our good tradition, a small bonus. How could we not mention dynamic soil, something that absolutely all farming game players are eagerly anticipating? We still hope every year that they will add mud to our beloved game. And if you haven't forgotten, similar mods already exist. Why not just add at least a simple imitation of mud for the developers? Players are not asking to turn the farm simulator into a mud simulator. We just want a bit of dynamic soil that would at least react to the tractor's heavy weight, and of course, good tracks on the field, because life is absolutely nowhere without it. With the help of new systems, we could encounter new situations in the field, such as a stuck tractor. This would add variety to the game. Let's hope we get to see all these changes in the new part of the game. These were the 7 most anticipated requests for Farming Simulator 25. I hope all of this will appear in the future game. I also hope as strongly as I hope you subscribe to my channel. I'll be happy to see you specifically. All the best, and see you soon.